Well, I'm in a national forest outside of Colorado Springs shooting an ERI update video. This will definitely be the prettiest place that I ever shoot an update video. I'm not going to be able to top this, but it certainly looks a lot better in my office. I'm in Colorado, mainly because a few of my really cool agnostic friends flew me and a few of their Christian friends out here to have several days of both living life together and, more importantly, having long discussions about whether or not it's reasonable to believe in God or not. And so it's just been a really fantastic time. I'm not going to talk a lot about it. It's kind of a personal thing that we're doing, but I will just say this is the kind of thing that people ought to be doing a lot more often. This is awesome. And I wish that there were more, not just agnostics doing stuff like this, like paying everyone's way to go to a single place and have good conversations, but there ought to be more Christians doing this too. So I have a lot to think about when it comes to that. But having said all that, that's where I am. I have my iPad here, so I just have a few notes of some of the stuff that's been going on lately at ERI and some of the things that we have coming up in the next month. And I'm going to kind of try to walk in ways where the lighting is not terrible, the sun is out, and talk to you about what's been going on. So one of the other things I'm doing while I'm here, I'm getting to meet with some of the leaders from a couple of different Pro-Life Future chapters. Pro-Life Future is this ministry or organization that's under the umbrella of Students for Life of America. I'm really excited about it. What they're doing is they're trying to help adults who want to be active in the pro-life movement be meeting together, be getting equipped, trained, and sent out to do the kinds of things that pro-life adults can do that would have the greatest impact. So I think that's a really cool idea. It's still fairly young. There's not a ton of chapters around the country, at least as far as I know, but there's a few in the Denver area. So I'll be meeting with some of their leaders tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to that. I've got some other trips coming up. I just spoke in North Dakota. There's a really cool Catholic college in North Dakota that invited me to come and speak. So I gave a talk on relational apologetics. That went really, really well. I added some new material kind of at the last minute, but I really liked the way it went, and there's actually things about how we kind of set up that talk that I will certainly try to replicate in the future when other groups have me come in and talk about relational apologetics. And I also gave a lecture on practical dialogue tips. It went really well. Just a lot of really cool students that I got to meet with, some really cool faculty. Other stuff going on. I've got an upcoming in like less than a month now. I think if I've got the date right in my head, I'm going to Virginia. No, Maryland, I think. And I'm doing the talk that I'm looking forward to more than any other event this year. It's the event, not the talk that I'm looking forward to, but it's basically an event that will have two keynote speakers, and that'll be myself and David Wright, who's one of my favorite people, and I've said that many times before, so I won't rave about that now, but David and I are both really, really looking forward to that event. So we'll both give talks, and then we'll sit on a panel with a couple of other local pro-life leaders and take questions, and I'm just really looking forward to that. I'm giving a couple more talks at Stonebridge Church pretty soon. This is a church in Charlotte that's been going through our course as part of a 9-week-long kind of adult Sunday school series. They are almost done, and I've been in touch with their leaders a bit, and that's been going really, really well. So I'm excited for that. Ooh, that's definitely not the direction I'd be walking. What else? I'm planning a fundraising trip in Fresno. I haven't reached out to too many people. It's in a couple of months, but I'll be going out to Fresno primarily to fundraise. I've got a goal of trying to raise $40,000 in the next 3 months to pay for an office. If everything goes perfectly, that'll actually be split up into like basically $3,300 a month in monthly pledges, as opposed to just like, you know, big one-time gifts. But the goal is to get an office. Rachel's going to be moving to Charlotte in January. We've picked the move date. She's doing really well with her support raising, and so we need an office. And so I've got fundraising to do for that. We're doing pretty well as far as, you know, we can pay our monthly bills and stuff. but we don't have the funds right now for an office, unless we cut way back in some area. I don't really know how we pull that off right now. So for us to be able to be as efficient and collaborate together as well as we would like to be, we need to be in a small office. So I'll be going to Fresno to see some old friends, thank current donors, and hopefully meet with some new donors. So that's going on. One of the biggest things that's been going on that I've teased, and we finally kind of announced it in our last newsletter, but in case you don't get our monthly newsletter, which and I'm sorry, it's not a monthly newsletter, about a quarterly newsletter. If you don't get that, let me know. We'd be happy to send you one. But we finally announced that we are working on a huge extension to the Equipped for Life course, and it'll be a big sidewalk counseling module. So right now there are 9 modules in the Equipped for Life course that basically cover attitudes to avoid, practical dialogue tips, apologetics, so a lot of arguments in philosophy, as well as some practical tips for how to be particularly helpful to people who are either abortion minded or are post-abortive. And we're going to be adding a big module on sidewalk counseling. And the short version of this story is that when I hired Jacob Nels, who kind of does logistics for us out of Georgia, we hired him pretty early to ERI starting, like within 3 or 4 months of us starting, we hired Jacob. So we basically think of him as sort of a co-founder, and he's just really, really important to our work. But I knew when I hired him that he was doing sidewalk counseling basically every week, every Friday, at an abortion facility near his house. And I told him that I wanted him to be able to keep doing that. Not because at the time I thought it would be particularly useful to ERI, but more because I thought it would be really good for Jacob to be able to keep doing that. I cared about his soul, like him being healthy, and I think for some more than others, it's important to be getting out there and doing work outside the office. I think a lot of our work in the office is really important. We're creating material training material that's helping a whole lot of people, because in the office we can put those into blog posts and podcasts and things like that. But we care a lot about getting out there and talking to people too. I'm going to turn around now and kind of walk a different direction. I'm just kind of walking in this one kind of field. I don't want to get too far away from the house that I'm staying in, but also try not to make the lighting too bad here. So anyway, just bear with me as I do this. It's just pretty, right? Isn't it beautiful behind me? Anyway, so we did that. I told Jacob I wanted him to keep doing that on work hours, and he has. And then more recently, Tim and I were talking to Jacob about what he does and the kinds of decisions that he makes while he's sidewalk counseling, and we came to realize that Jacob has actually developed a lot of really helpful ideas for what are the kinds of things that are helpful to say and do at an abortion facility, which shouldn't be that surprising, because that's the kind of thing that we encourage here. When we go out on a campus, we do that primarily because that's our lab. That's where we're trying new ideas and new arguments and dialogue techniques. We're trying to have the kinds of experiences that we can use to pick up on things, to learn things about persuasion, particularly in this area of pro-life, so we can help other people learn what we're learning. And Jacob has been doing that on the sidewalk in front of this abortion facility. He's doing the exact same thing that we, train and foster on the staff at ERI on campuses, but he's doing it at this abortion facility. And so there are a lot of different kind of ideas and techniques out there on how to do sidewalk counseling, and some of them are, generally more effective than others. And Jacob has come up with some really helpful and unique ideas. Not everything that Jacob does is like original, Jacob being a genius stuff, but there's some stuff that I think is pretty unique, based on having gone through some sidewalk counseling trainings myself. And so we got really excited about that. And then instead of kind of immediately being like, well, we should, spend a whole bunch of time and resources shooting a module, we just had him on the course podcast. Every other week, if you get the course, you get this, usually a roughly an hour long, at least on average, podcast. It's going to be almost always a roundtable discussion. And we did 2 episodes with Jacob giving some sidewalk counseling tips, kind of talking through not everything, but like a lot of the things that he says, how he thinks about some of the different, kinds of things that sidewalk advocates sometimes differ on when it comes to sidewalk counseling. And anyway, we put out those episodes, and we got really, really good feedback from people from that. I'm not saying that I'm trying to pat ourselves on the back or brag or anything, but there were people that said that this was the most practical sidewalk counseling training that they had experienced, and these were just podcasts. It was probably 2.5 hours of audio, maybe something like that. Have you noticed the white dog that's following me around? This is one of their dogs at my host home, and I think maybe he's worried I'm going to get lost or something. He's been following me the whole time. It's really cute. And so, given that Jacob has a lot more to say on this, we started thinking this is the kind of thing that we could save lives. Or God can work through Jacob and then work through the people on sidewalks to be even more effective and save more lives. And so we've been spending a lot of time preparing to shoot a sidewalk counseling module. We still have a lot of work to do before we do it, because it's hard, because we're wanting it to be very, very practical, which means there's certain kinds of questions that we want to be able to answer that are sometimes some of the stumbling blocks for people that are even thinking about doing sidewalk counseling. And kind of the hard thing is we've been learning, especially Jacob, who's been doing the bulk of the work and the research. Some of those answers, some of those questions, finding answers to them is a lot harder than we thought. And so we're in major research mode so that we can put together a really, really good sidewalk counseling training module. And so we're expecting to probably be a couple of hours. So it'll probably add about 50% of to the core course content once it's done. We're hoping to shoot it in sometime in the first 3 months of next year. Hopefully on the sooner end. We really want to get this done. We're really excited about this, but that's something that's going on, and I've been kind of waiting for a while to talk about that, but now we've gone public and we're really excited, and I hope you are too. All right, I'm not going to take so much time on the rest of the stuff. We recently had a board meeting, and when I have board meetings, that's usually when I go and check out our analytics. And so just a couple of interesting statistics from that. We've had an 18% increase in blog page views in the last 4 months. We've been blogging, but posting very regularly every other Friday. And we're seeing just a nice growth in the blog from that. We have, for the first time in the last 4 months, actually passed a really cool milestone, which is that the blog, since we launched ERI, analyzing the unique people who've come to the blogs. This is not analyzing unique page views or anything like that, but and not analyze if the same person comes to our blog every week, it'll only count them once, period. But as far as unique people going to our blog, we've now passed the 100,000 person mark. We're actually right about 105,000 people that have come to our blog at least once, if not more, in the last basically 3 years since we launched ERI. So it's a pretty cool milestone. Anyway, so our email stats, and I keep our email stats separated between the emails that we send to everybody on our list, which is the new blog posts, as opposed to the emails that we send only to our course customers. So every other Wednesday when we release a new course podcast, we shoot an email out to our course customers to let them know. Naturally, the latter emails are going to get a better open rate because it's a smaller group of people and they're more invested. So the emails that go to everybody, we are right at nonprofit industry standard, or average for open rates, is about 25%. And then the emails that go to the course customers were more like 36%, but that would be somewhat to be expected. And then on the podcast, we've had a 29% increase in our podcast views and downloads in the last quarter. When I say views and downloads, what I do is I basically combine the YouTube stats with the podcast download stats. There's two different ways that you can get the podcast, and so I'll just combine those. So we've seen a 29% increase there. Something we did recently for the first time was a Students for Life webinar. As I said last time, we're doing that 3 times a semester for the next at least 2 semesters to be able to equip especially a bunch of Students for Life students on apologetics. And so we did the first one of those, and that went really well. We basically showed several lessons from the course, and then Rachel Crawford and I took questions. We're doing that again pretty soon, October 26th, so Thursday night we're going to do that again. And so if you want to sign up for that, I don't know if Students for Life has released the registration page for that or not, but if you haven't liked their Facebook page or jumped on their email list, you might want to do that. We'll probably post it. We'll actually, for sure, I'll shoot an email or at least post it on Facebook too once, but I'm not sure if they've released that registration page or not, so I'll check on that. Almost done. I hired someone. Melody Zimmerman is this awesome person from New York who I've trained to do all the publishing kind of steps of the podcasts. At least for now, that's what she's doing. So when we do an audio blog or a course clip or these monthly emails, she's not editing the video or the audio or anything like that. What she's doing is she's taking the finished and edited video and podcast files that have been uploaded like YouTube and Libsyn, which is the way most people just distribute podcasts like iTunes and stuff. So he's taking that and doing just all the steps of distributing that and publishing it. So the email, the Facebook post, the Twitter posts, just like the copy, like what you read under this. Josh Brown gives an update about what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Like she's kind of putting all that together, putting it on the blog, doing the YouTube, all of that. And it's time intensive if you do that a lot. And it was getting to be a lot for me. And so she's trained up, and I'll just tell you, the results of this are amazing. Because remember Megan, our summer intern, who's finished her internship and is still volunteering for us because she's awesome that way, who's still doing a lot of the editing. I'm now experiencing what happens when you can delegate most of an entire recurring project to other people. Because now, whereas with the audio blogs, especially if there was an audio blog that I read, I used to be doing 100% of that work. I was obviously reading it. But then even let's just say after the reading of it, the editing and the publishing, I was doing 100% of that work. Now I'm doing 5 or 10 because I'm just uploading the raw videos for Megan to edit and in the separate, the good audio from the microphone. Whereas Megan does the edit. I just do a little bit with it after adding the title card in the beginning and rendering it on my computer and uploading that to YouTube. And then Melody takes it from there. And so now there are things that I don't usually have time to do that I'm finding time to do. And so, I've spent a lot of this last summer training people and assessing new staff people, and we're still in that process. And I'm starting to see the results of it, and I'm so happy because this is going to make ERI work so much better. Having more people being able to help with some of these tasks. Almost done. Let's see what else. We've got a big trip coming up where people are flying to Charlotte so we can evaluate 2 new potential team members. We're basically doing outreach with them. So Rachel's coming in, Jacob's coming in, and these 2 potential staff members are coming in. I don't want to name them because I don't know if we're going to hire them for sure or not. And if I name them now and then we don't hire them, then that's kind of embarrassing. But I think it's very likely that we will hire at least one, if not both of them, if outreach goes well with them. We basically don't hire full-time staff without seeing them at outreach. That's just a really important thing. So we've already spent a lot of time interviewing and kind of assessing them. We're really excited about both of them, and this is one of the final steps that we'll do before officially offering them a job. So that's going to be really big. That's coming up in less than a week. My search for an executive assistant continues. I had done some Facebook posts and even Facebook ads trying to find a local executive assistant, and that was very unfruitful. And then I finally realized, oh, wait a minute, people use more LinkedIn to find people. And so I did, even though I spent weeks waiting for good results from the Facebook thing, then I did LinkedIn for a day, and I got 30 applicants. So I've already interviewed one. I've got a bunch more to interview. Probably the last week of October, I'll interview a bunch of those people. And but it looks like we've definitely got some really well-qualified people in there. So I'm sure I'm going to find someone good. And but I've just got to finish the interview process for that. And then I'm working with a commercial real estate guy who's already doing research. I'm going to go out with him probably in a week or two to look at potential offices and just try to get a sense of what is it exactly that we need. He knows kind of the basics of what we need. I don't want something big and fancy. I just want somewhere that's small and will give us minimally what we need to work more efficiently for the next year. And hopefully maybe towards the end of next year, maybe we can upgrade to somewhere that is more optimal. But right now we're just trying to find a place that will help us give us kind of minimally what we need. So anyway, so we are working actively with a commercial real estate agent to try to figure out a good place, try to figure out, layouts that would kind of give us what we need with the least square footage possible, because you pay for by the square foot, and trying to figure that out. And hopefully we can find a place that we could get that would be less than $40,000 a year. Is certainly a goal. We're looking like specifically in places that are like less expensive to rent from than like in Charlotte. But we'll see. My goal is to raise 40K, because even if we can find a place for less, I'm just expecting some of our overhead to go up a little bit, like utilities and electricity and internet and things like that, after we end up in an office. So that's the other thing that we're doing. All right, that is it. This has been a longer than usual update video, so I hope this was helpful for you. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for being interested in the work that we're doing. I'm really proud of what is going on, and just excited for what is coming next. So I will shoot another one of these sometime next month. Thanks.